Story 1 had a crush on a girl. She casually mentioned she was texting and talking to 5 different guys who she was certain were romantically interested in her. She had a boyfriend, by the way. Huge turn off. Story 2. Playing hard to get. If you indicate you are not interested, I am always just going to take that at face value. Respect it and move on. But I have had a girl get mad at me once for not chasing. Story 3. Many things, but as someone who started dating again recently, what on earth is going on with all the filters everyone uses to take pictures? Don't they realize that they do not look like they do in the pictures and that their date might be hugely bothered or upset by that? Story 4. Heavy attention-seeking behavior on social media. I do not care what the platform is. If she is constantly out there seeking attention and likes, she is fundamentally undateable. Story 5. Making their entire dating profile about their icks. When I was on the dating apps, so many women's bios were covered with, I don't like X, Y, and Z, and don't do B, have a BC. It was rare to find things they liked. I had the feeling that they were just setting us guys up to strike out and that they didn't care about getting to know us at all. My now wife's profile on Hinge had a bunch of positives. Let's laugh together. I like such and such. And it made me want to get to know and date her. This is not to say that you shouldn't have deal breakers or non-negotiables or list them. Standards are very important. However, you can at the very least list something you want or like. Story 6. My ex used to be interested in my teenage pictures. I thought it was cute until I realized she really just did not find older men or aging men, like myself, attractive. She left me for a 25-year-old when she was 43. Super ick. Story 7. One ex would get into arguments with strangers on Twitter. It's not a good look when anyone does it. Another insisted that nickels and quarters were the same diameter. It might be a harmless blunder, but I don't see how you could make it to 24 years old and think that. Story 8. Asking me if I understood what it took to date a Latina woman. I am not racist, but it was the inflection of her tone that immediately turned me off. I believe she meant it in an inquisitive way, but... Story 9. If her Instagram is a wall of selfies, narcissism, tons of face work to the point of looking like handsome Squidward, lack of personal hygiene, loud eaters, fence treatment levels of fake tan, and ridiculously long nails. Story 10. If you can't handle me at my worst people, I don't want to handle you. We're all going to have our ups and downs in life that we'll take care of as a team, but I'm not your therapist or your emotional punching bag. Story 11. Grown adult women pretending to be a child, usually to avoid the responsibilities of adulthood or the direct consequences of their actions. So-called feminists enforcing gender roles when it's convenient for them, usually revolving around money or taking initiative. Self-serving double standards. Being able to dish it out but not take it. Demands traits that she doesn't have. Wants a guy with a six-pack while being allergic to the gym. Wants a guy that can make her laugh or entertain her while having no ability or desire to do that for him. All of these are red flags. Story 12. One time I was taking a shower with a girl and she urinated while I was in the tub with her. Admittedly, I have urinated in the shower before and don't have issues with it as long as it's washed away. But maybe not when I'm right there with you and getting my feet splashed. Story 13. Staring, smiling, blowing kisses at their phone at a million different angles is pretty icky. It gives off this vibe that they are highly self-centered and too focused on their own beauty. Ladies, imagine a guy at the gym constantly taking off his shirt to admire his own muscles. You would be like, bruh, get over yourself. Story 14. When I hear a woman over 30 years old speaking with TikTok slang, for example, when they say, it's giving insecurity, in response to someone's genuine concern, it feels awkward. If you've watched the new season of Love is Blind, you'll truly understand how cringeworthy it is. Story 15. Women's toxic positivity will force it down your throat whenever they have a chance. Of course, men, in their eyes, are not supposed to show any form of negative emotions. Story 16. Here is one that seems to get some people upset, and I don't know why because it's obvious why it's off-putting as a man. But hating on men and spewing misandrous garbage and treating us men like we are dumb, useless, always horny evil creatures who can't feel emotions and believe we are just emotional punching bags who need to take in all people's frustrations. but then told we are not allowed to show any emotion or open up back and think the only emotions we can feel are being horny or angry. Weirds me out how some people have made their whole personality hating men and get offended by this. Freaks. Hating on us, but then demanding we find them attractive. I don't give a fuck what men think. Men ain't shit. That's why I'm all over Ask Men getting angry at men's answers and then going to subreddits like 2X chromosomes upset, screaming about how I don't care what men think just because I clicked on a post on Ask Men which asked men to list their preferences in women and I didn't fit into their answers or feel validated by random men who don't know I exist. Story 17. Saying things give them the ick. It's unfair, but I've immediately judged you as dense if you've used that phrase in that context with no irony. I have never heard a woman do this in real life. Only online, and though I can only get a partial sense of who these women are since they're online, they seem like very immature human beings. Story 18. Willful ignorance, even when presented with facts or just an opposing view. Bigotry, whether soft or hard, from racism to sexism, none of that is okay. Disrespecting people, their time, or their effort. Story 19. In college, I was interested in this one woman until I got to know her better. She would not stop talking about her ex-boyfriend. She always somehow shifted the conversation towards him. I just kind of lost interest. Story 20. Jealousy, especially with mundane things like my PlayStation or the attention I pay to fixing my truck, is exacerbated when she ignores me all day. I ask a question and get a grunt as her face is buried in her phone screen. Then she suddenly wants attention when I turn on the PlayStation or go to the garage. We go to watch a movie together, and her face is back in the phone. She is protective of her phone when I glance over, giggling, then becoming indifferent when I ask her something. Story 21. If you spend more time taking carefully curated pictures of the meal, event, or location than you do actually enjoying it, that's off-putting. Story 22. Having a picture of your child in your dating profile. I'm totally fine with children, but featuring your child in your profile just exposes them to a bunch of potential creeps. Story 23. Making ick lists is pretty cringy. In my opinion, the idea that men are a list of positive and negative traits and you shop around until you find the best bargain is the female equivalent of objectification. Story 24. I have two. Being an extremist of any sort, no matter what it is a problem because it's not possible to talk to those people about anything that isn't fully aligned with their extreme views. Don't give your phone your full attention when we're doing something together. I'm not picking up my phone because I'm spending my time with her, not my phone, so she should spend her time with me and not her phone. Story 25. Women that love the unattainable. I was dating a woman and didn't really know how I felt about the relationship and acted quite removed. She was very affectionate, picturing our lives together. I told her I wasn't ready for a committed relationship, and after that we just became casual. Yet she was still very interested in me. During that time, I realized how much I liked her and started to express that. From that moment, everything flipped, and she became uninterested, playing games with me. It was as if, when the chase was over and I became attainable, I was no longer as interesting. This is a huge red flag and indicates problems with self-worth. Many women won't let themselves be loved and are addicted to being ignored by troublesome partners. Story 26. I have a lot of interests. A few of my dates, used loosely as there was rarely a second in most situations, expected my likes and hobbies to go away, to be replaced by theirs. It was almost invariably outdoorsy stuff, which isn't terrible in itself. I'm just not into the hiking every weekend, living off the grid, wiping with leaves lifestyle. I was into amateur radio in the past. That's something that can be done outdoors. Except it can't with one of these women. When you're with her, you better not be focusing on anything that's not her. When you're not with her, you're probably cheating or something. Now, what could you possibly have going on that doesn't involve her? Story 27. Any hint that our relationship means the end of me as an individual. This is so rampant and expected it's like part of American culture now. It's as if the man is just expected to be absorbed into the woman or vice versa. It doesn't matter which way it goes, but it's primarily women that pursue, create, or foster it. And it is unfortunate either way. Story 28. LMAO. This isn't a ladies have gone all out thing. It's always been this way. But a woman with a bad attitude and unable to be grateful is the worst. Story 29. When women behave like the worst in men they complain about. The best way I can describe this is promiscuous phase. So if a man goes out and just sleeps with a bunch of women and uses them, women will complain about it. Yet these same women will go out and do the same thing to guys and expect good men to overlook it later? That's unpleasant. A lot of women want to be like the worst in men they complain about because they say it's equality. It seems like they think that they need to do the same thing that guy who was with everyone did. Because if they commit to that guy, then things are even, they did the same thing, right? But they don't always get commitment from that guy, do they? And then later on, when trying to date, they get upset when other guys find out and don't like it. They don't care that most guys cannot do that as easily as women, and not many guys do that. Then they try to shame us into accepting that. As if we're insecure when we're just disgusted they acted a certain way because of their insecurities. So it's really just that these women don't want to be disciplined, want to behave like the worst in men, and just think other men have to accept that. We don't. We shouldn't. Anytime I hear a girl brag about a promiscuous phase or even consider having one, I think they are as unpleasant as they claim the men who do the same are. Story 30. Just a few. Follows astrology religiously, for example, they judge and dismiss people based solely on their birth. Is part of a multi-level marketing scheme, doesn't exercise in any way, shape, or form, has issues with alcohol, doesn't like cats, exhibits behaviors typical of a social justice warrior, such as virtue signaling, is addicted to social media attention, has cheated in past relationships, has undergone excessive cosmetic plastic surgery, has an account on a subscription-based platform, doesn't pay for anything such as meals, dates, or movies, is indecisive to the point of frustration, doesn't respect others' personal space or boundaries, is debilitatingly codependent, is an emotional vampire. Story 31. Using the word ick gives me the ick. Grow up from your childish tendencies. Everyone is human, and nobody is perfect. By the way, the word is pet peeves, not ick. Grown adults should be able to move past most pet peeves, at least the ones you see online like when he slurps pasta or some dumb stuff. Story 32. Nearly anything having to do with social media, like if she's trying to be an influencer and document everything going on. Having her phone in her hand all the time, taking pictures of her food, a selfie to show off her makeup or outfit, and so on. That is just unattractive. Those long, super pointy fake nails, fake lashes, and collagen lips are just no. Treating people like they're better than them, especially waitstaff, is an immediate no. Baby talk is a no. Story 33. Their frequent pure narcissism, believing that they are entitled and that their partner should be lucky to have them, bringing nothing to the relationship. Their hypocrisy, wanting you to be vulnerable and expressive, then leaving because such emotions don't make you a real man. Super long fingernails and too much makeup. Story 34. When they dress to get attention from other men, but obviously that never happens because they only dress for themselves, no one else. If you think otherwise, then you are worse than Hitler. Story 35. Every time we've done this so far, someone complained that our responses were too substantial to be icks. It's possible that guys tend to take minor stuff like wearing a shirt they don't like an actual ick in stride, for whatever reason. Story 36. There's a thing I've noticed on TikTok where a woman will try to look attractive and talk to the camera at a slight angle, so her good side is showing. It looks so weird because they are directly addressing the camera but facing off to the side. I think just anyone who is putting a lot of effort into trying to look attractive kind of gives me the uncomfortable feeling. Story 37. Playing BS games. Provoking someone else to see how you will protect her. Or staging a picture getting attention from someone else to make you jealous. Or giving a full range of requests, starting with, if you love me, you will. Story 38. My fellow brothers from around the world, let us stop here. I hate the ick list. It is disrespectful to all men, and doing the same to all women is nothing we should endeavor. We are better than this. Social media is not all life, and we should think beyond this post and, as men, Rise and stay forever above this. Cheers to you all, and may you find all you desire in life. Story 39. I don't know what the ick is, but I'll tell you one thing that immediately turns me off in all possible meanings of the phrase. Being rude to people for no reason, especially servers or other employees in similar sectors. A very specific, condescending tone. I hate that. I've ended friendships because of that. Story 40. Not working out or engaging in any form of fitness like walking or wanting to be outside is unappealing to me. It may be a weird perspective, but I will never understand people who completely avoid it in any shape or form. Story 41. Women who have a list of dislikes give me the feeling of displeasure. Women who constantly praise themselves about how good of a person they are give me the feeling of displeasure, and that is a major warning sign. Story 42. Having a bad attitude and thinking of themselves as a prize, even when they don't meet the bare minimum of beauty standards. Also a major coping mechanism when they think they prefer their peace compared to being with a man. 90% of the women in today's world could have any halfway decent eligible man they wanted, but reek of pride and aren't humble enough to admit that they're just as flawed and imperfect as 95% of the men they reject. This applies to most women aged 30 and above.